Most people sitting on $1,000 to $5,000 right now are making one of three mistakes. They're leaving it in a regular checking account doing literally nothing, they're throwing it at some random crypto they saw on Reddit or TikTok, or they're just paralyzed by all the options and end up doing nothing at all. And all three of those will hurt you long term. So today I'm going to break down the actual smart moves you can make with $1,000 to $5,000 right now in June 2026 with real data that was actually looked up today, not stuff from 2 years ago. These aren't flashy, they're not going to 10x your money overnight, but this is exactly the kind of stuff I wish somebody had sat down and explained to me when I was starting out. Quick question before we get into it. Do you have any money sitting in a regular savings or checking account right now just doing nothing? Comment that down below. I'm genuinely curious because I think it's way more common than people realize. All right, before I get into the actual strategies, I want to give you a quick snapshot of where we are right now, because this changes the math on some of these options. The S&P 500 has returned 27.7% over the past 12 months. It's sitting around 7,500 to 7,600 right now, and we are on a 9-week winning streak, which is literally tied for the longest winning streak we've seen since 2023. So yeah, the market is doing very well. Now, some people hear all-time highs and freeze up. They think it's too expensive to buy in. I'm going to address that head on in a little bit. But for now, just keep that in mind. On the other side, the Fed has not moved interest rates at all in 2026 so far. The federal funds rate is still sitting at 3.5 to 3.75%. The next Fed announcement is actually June 17th, 2026, so coming up very soon. Because of that, savings rates, CD rates, and treasury yields are all still pretty attractive compared to where they were 3 or 4 years ago. That context matters a lot for what I'm about to tell you. Okay, let's get into it. If you have $1,000 to $5,000 and you have not maxed your Roth IRA for 2026, this is your very first move. No debate. And here's something a lot of people don't know yet. The Roth IRA contribution limit actually went up in 2026. It's now $7,500 if you're under 50. It was $7,000 last year. The IRS bumped it up, and the income limit for single filers is under $153,000 to contribute the full amount. It starts phasing out above that and cuts off completely at $168,000. So if you're making under $153K, which is most people watching this, you're eligible. And if you haven't fully contributed for 2026 yet, that $1,000 to $5,000 you're sitting on goes into the Roth first. You open the account, you deposit the money, and then you actually invest it inside the account because it does nothing just sitting there as cash. What do you invest it in inside the Roth? I keep things very simple. VOO, that's the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. It's up about 11.5% year to date in 2026. The expense ratio is 0.03%, which means for every $1,000 you invest, you're paying 30 cents a year in fees. It literally does not get cheaper than that. The reason this is such a secret weapon is the tax shelter. When you invest $5,000 inside a Roth IRA versus a regular brokerage account, every single dollar of gain you make, dividends, capital gains, all of it, you will never pay taxes on. Not now, not 10 years from now, not when you pull it out at retirement. That's huge when you're talking about compounding over 30 or 40 years. $5,000 at age 25 invested in VOO inside a Roth IRA, let that thing ride for 35 years at historical average market returns, and that is going to be an absolutely insane number. That's the move. Okay, I already know what some of you are thinking. Dude, a savings account? That's not investing. And yeah, fair, but hear me out for a second. As of right now, June 2026, the best high-yield savings accounts are paying up to 5% APY. Vero Money is hitting 5% on balances up to $5,000 when you meet their direct deposit requirements. Bank is sitting at 4.03% APY with no minimum balance, no monthly fees, no hoops to jump through. Axos Bank is at 4.21%. and Basque Bank is at 4.10%. Meanwhile, the national average savings rate is 0.38%. Now, I'm not making that up. The FDIC publishes that, 0.38%. So let's say you have $1,000 that you want to keep liquid, your emergency fund money you might need in the next 6 to 12 months. You should not be leaving that in your bank at 0.38%. Put it in a high-yield savings account and get paid 4 to 5% on cash you were going to keep anyway. It's FDIC insured up to $250,000, zero risk. This is literally free money. I think of this as the boring secret that most people just never get around to doing. They leave thousands sitting in checking accounts making basically nothing when they could be making 4+% with the exact same access to their cash. Just move it. It takes like 10 minutes to open one of these accounts. This one is specifically smart right now in June 2026, and here's why timing matters. The Fed has held rates steady all year, but there's real talk about potential rate cuts later in 2026, depending on where inflation goes. And the thing with CDs is when the Fed cuts rates, CD rates follow. So right now, you have an opportunity to lock in a guaranteed rate before it potentially drops. Currently, the best one-year CDs are paying around 4.10 to 4.25% APY. First National Bank of America is offering 4.25% on their CD right now. Bread Financial is at 4.15%. E-Trade has a one-year CD at 4.10% with no minimum deposit. And for a shorter 3-month CD, OMB Bank is at 4.05% with a $1,000 minimum. A CD makes sense if you have, say, $2,000 or $3,000 that you know you don't need to touch for the next 6 to 12 months. You lock it in today at 4.10 to 4.25%, and even if rates drop in August or September, you're still earning your locked-in rate for the full term. That's the whole point. Now, the trade-off is you cannot touch it without an early withdrawal penalty. So this is not for your emergency fund. This is for money that is 100% sitting there and you don't need it. If that's you, a CD right now is genuinely a solid move, and the window to get these rates may not be open forever. This one is honestly the one most people in their 20s have no idea about, and I kind of feel like it's one of the most slept-on options out there. A treasury bill, or T-bill, is basically you lending money to the US government for a short period. 3 months, 6 months, or a year. In return, they pay you interest. And as of June 3rd, 2026, the 3-month T-bill is yielding 3.72%. The 1-year Treasury is at 3.81%. Now, you might be thinking, wait, that's lower than the best high-yield savings accounts. And yeah, on the surface, you're right. But here's the thing most people miss. T-bill interest is exempt from state and local taxes. So depending on what state you live in, a 3.72% T-bill could actually beat out a 4% savings account after tax. It depends on your state tax rate, but for people in higher tax states, this math can shift pretty noticeably. You buy T-bills directly through treasurydirect.gov. You can start with as little as $100, and it is backed by the United States government, which is about as close to zero risk as you can get with any investment. This isn't a strategy I'd use for my main investing, but if I've got $1,000 sitting around that I want completely safe, completely liquid at maturity, and I want to squeeze out a slightly better after-tax return than a standard savings account, T-bills are legitimately worth knowing about. Okay, I fully expected this answer to abandon the Roth down in the comments after I saved this one for last, and I want to address it directly. The market is at all-time highs right now. Should I wait for a dip before I invest? No, and here's the data to back that up. The S&P 500 has hit all-time highs hundreds of times throughout history, and after every single one of those all-time highs, the market has eventually gone even higher. If you had refused to invest every time the market was at an all-time high, you would have missed almost all of the gains because statistically the market is at an all-time high a significant portion of the time. Now, VOO, the S&P 500 ETF, is up 11.5% year-to-date in 2026. But here's something interesting. SCHD, the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, is actually outperforming VOO this year. SCHD is up somewhere between 18 to 20% year-to-date in 2026. It's a dividend growth ETF with a 3.28% dividend yield and only a 0.06% expense ratio, so you're getting income plus solid growth right now. My current portfolio is basically 70% VOO, 20% SCHD, and 10% VUG, which is just a growth ETF that's more tech-focused. If I had $5,000 to deploy right now, I'd probably split it something like that. But here's the key thing. I am not putting $5,000 in all at once. I'm spreading it out, maybe $1,000 a week over 5 weeks, or $625 every 2 weeks. That's called dollar cost averaging, and it's literally how I invest. I get paid every 2 weeks, and I just invest on payday. It takes the emotion completely out of it. If the market dips, I'm buying cheaper. If it keeps going up, I still got in. Either way, I win long term. Okay, here's what I would actually do if someone handed me $5,000 in June 2026. Step 1, does my Roth IRA have room left for 2026? The limit is $7,500 this year. If I haven't maxed it, I'm putting $3,000 to $4,000 straight into the Roth and buying VOO inside it. That's the first move, every time. The tax-free compounding on that money over decades is unbeatable. Step 2, is my emergency fund solid? If not, I'm putting $1,000 into a high-yield savings account like VOO at 4.03% or VERO at 5% to make sure I have a cushion. You don't want to be forced to sell investments in a bad market because you had a random $800 expense and nothing in savings. Step 3, any leftover cash, let's say $1,000, I'm dollar cost averaging into VOO or SCHD in my brokerage account. Not all at once, just spreading it out over a few weeks. That's the whole plan. It's not complicated. There's no magic stock pick, no hot sector, no crypto gem. Just 3 steps that most people either don't know about or don't get around to doing. The people who are quietly building wealth in 2026 aren't the ones making wild moves. They're the ones consistently doing the boring stuff. And if you can develop that discipline in your 20s, you are going to be in an absolutely incredible position in your 30s and 40s. All right, that is it for me today. I hope this gave you some actual actionable stuff you can do with your money right now in June 2026, not generic advice from 5 years ago. If you got value out of this video, drop a like down below. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of this kind of content. I post here every week, and I'm genuinely trying to help people figure this money stuff out. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.